What is going on, guys? Today we are looking at Prime Schweinsteiger. So I think anybody can be kind of in agreement. He is very, very much like a Xavi, like a Paul Scholes, Gerard Lampard. They just don't hit FIFA as much as some of the other icons slash gold cards, just purely for the fact they have a specific sort of set. That being said, Schweinsteiger has got some really lovely stats away from pace, but the biggest holdback for Schweinsteiger especially is the pace. In terms of him in general, I feel like if you went to kind of like his baby version with 80 pace, that's decent, but then he is a left mid, you have to kind of bring him back into the centre, so that takes out that position. But then also, there's only so much capability he can have for an 87 that's released at the start of the game. Cards are going to get better, they're going to increase in terms of value, in terms of kind of rating, and eventually you just see him kind of withering away a little bit. Once then we get to this prime, the stats are nice. He is a very well-rounded card, but the pace is going to be the huge one. He's a freestyle with a high, obviously looking more as a box-to-box if anything, and then we're looking at the pace, because really you need a hunter, a catalyst, or a shadow. It's a need. Everything else is kind of irrelevant because the pace is only 76. We need to at least get that to 86 at the minimum. So I would suggest the shadow, really. In terms of attacking, we've got good long shots, we've got some shot power. I don't necessarily need him having a kind of bigger finishing, because realistically I can leave that to the strikers and just have him doing the defensive work as well as them pushing up and potentially getting a long shot every now and then. So that'd give him 86 pace and 94 defending, turn him into a 91 CM like he is, and a 93 DM if he really should choose. In terms of the stats across the board, like I said, I kind of suggested, the shot power, long shots, decent, you can't argue there. Great short and long passes, great vision, even the free kick accuracy is up there to possibly give it a little bang. And then obviously the dribbling side of stuff, agility balance is probably coming in at average, maybe just a bit beyond that with a 91 card. Great composure, reactions and ball control. Defending obviously goes up to 94, so that's absolutely solid. We have great stamina and a decent amount of physicality. Nothing too special, but definitely not a kind of an area that's definitely not been focused on. So really we're looking at that balance and agility. We're looking at potentially that freestyle weak foot, and then obviously the pace as the kind of negative side of him. We don't have really any traits other than team player, and I think he's going to be just a little bit out of his depth in terms of midfield when we come up against the faster midfielders. Faster, stronger defending is incredible. You've got attacking as well. You look at your Renato Sanchez's, your Fofanas, your Vieiras, your Hullets. They're very, very well-rounded mid-cards, and I think that is personally where Schweinsteiger really falls off. So let's jump into him. His prime is coming in at around about 600 to 700 across all consoles. Let's have a look. Schweinsteiger pushing upfield, Seedorf just rips that ball away from his grasp. And that is the areas where Schweinsteiger will be difficult to handle. When you've got him on kind of that edge, maybe you go and get a little layup for him. He has got an absolute rocket and a half. But in terms of going backwards and forwards, I think the pace, like I say, is just going to be that little bit too much. Whereas when you're going against, like these, your Ronaldinhos, your Hullets, your Seedorfs in the middle, people who can run incredible, it's just not going to be enough, which I think in general is very kind of sad to see with some of these icons, especially with the names like Schweinsteiger, Xavi, I assume Iniesta at some point as well. They all had a very specific type, and obviously it just doesn't necessarily translate to FIFA. Again, it takes absolutely zero away from their actual footballing ability, as they're some of, if not the best midfielders in the world, which is crazy to think that FIFA just doesn't have their skill set really, and that's just naturally, unfortunately, how it works. That he makes me, that is unreal. Thank God it was offside. But in terms of Schweinsteiger, I'd still be happy with him in the team. I think you could work around it. Obviously, if you kind of just had him from a pack, maybe yes, you could learn to kind of get used to him, and it won't be too much of a hindrance until you really get to like the elite levels of stuff, because we know that some people just won't be able to deal with most of the attack. If you get really comfortable with him, you know what he can and can't do. That is something that you can kind of work on and really just make sure that you've got either a very strong midfield around him, or obviously you just don't put him in them situations where he can't outrun somebody. But another good thing that you can have with him, obviously not quite there, really kind of rush that pass as much as we could, and that was poor and a half, is you can have him just absolutely pinging balls left, right, centre. He's gonna be able to do that, and that is the biggest bonus with the likes of Xavi, Lampard, Gerrard, is that they have that passing ability that is pretty unmatched. Just like that. That is stunning. If we can get to that, Lahm's going to get that header over to Neymar. He's going to try and flick it. And Steiger intercepting. It is a shame that he hasn't got the 4-star weak foot at the very minimum as well. That would just be an extra little bonus for him. The only problem I'd have in kind of suggesting to even buy Schweinsteiger is, personally, with his price, what, about a month or so, well, yeah, I think about a month now, since obviously the primes came out, he's already 600k. That for me tells me this card is absolutely going in the mud, and I probably wouldn't suggest buying him just purely for the fact that I don't particularly know how much more he can go down. Obviously he's the prime, so he's a 91 rated, he's hard to pack, but even I think even the base version is like 100 and something k, and that has the most pace on it. So that kind of tells me right there that that is not necessarily the most desired version of him, as obviously there is still so much more that gets upgraded from obviously the 91 version. But that version would be the one people look at more. Purely a pace thing more than anything, obviously. So we have a Schweinsteiger here, and he is such a frustrating card because I just want them to do really well. I really do. Schweinsteiger was one of the midfielders growing up. The likes of... I've completely missed them. Where are they? The Pirlos, the Xavis. Then we go a bit further down. We're looking at the Paul Scholes. We're looking at the Lampard, the Gerrards. They were and still are absolutely unreal midfielders. But like I say, they just don't translate to FIFA. The pace is not good enough. And it's funny with Schweinsteiger because I think it's just the pace with this one. You look at the stats and they are very well rounded. They are very, very good. 86 across the board, an 89 on his passing. That is a very wonderful card. It is literally just this that lets him off. And to be fair, animations being a little bit blocky at times, that kind of goes down to the agility balance, which is unfortunate. And we can't even sort it out with obviously an engine because we need more pace. We need this increase. If we had just 80 to start with, we could possibly go with the engine, sort that balance and agility out, and we may actually have a very nice turning card. But unfortunately, the shadow is having to be applied. We cannot risk only getting a 5 increase from 76. Only 81 pace at this point of the game is just going to be a massive hindrance, and I don't think adding that balance is going to outweigh the loss. I think for me the shadow is going to be the only option. If you can kind of almost take a midfielder out and have a solid DM, 2 box to boxes, you could almost lose that efficiency in a card if you really like Schweinsteiger and really put him in there and kind of just own it with him. The passing game is fantastic. Long shots will definitely be hit, and some will go in, some will absolutely fly because he has an absolute rocket like he did in real life. But it is that pace that personally lets him down, and I think that is why we're already seeing him coming in at 680 at the moment. And obviously the other versions, yes, his base is already 155, which isn't the lowest base icon, but he has the most pace out of all of them. His mid's coming in at 194 and an 89, and obviously the prime is 680 on the Xbox already. And I know he's cheaper on the PlayStation, and we have seen cheaper primes, but I just think he's going to drop even more, and he's going to continue to drop purely for the fact that I just don't think there's that much demand for him. I feel like the name is going to carry him so far, but unfortunately then he will drop off just naturally. There's going to be far too many midfielders that are just coming in and just taking over his role. Fofana being one of the most recent ones. We've had a winter wildcard Pogba. You've obviously got Milinkovic-Savic, plus all of the team of the years that we've got coming in. There's going to be far too many, and that is unfortunate for him. He's just naturally not got the stats for FIFA, and unfortunately there's nothing he can do about that. That is just naturally how the game works. If you are quick, defending, physical, shooting, dribbling, passing, if you've ticked all them boxes, you're a hullet. You genuinely are in hullet gang territory. But unfortunately, the pace is what really lets him down. I could even kind of justify maybe the 3-star being okay, but that pace and balance, to be honest, is what really lets him down. I wouldn't necessarily pay 680k for him. I think if I was looking for him and I really wanted him in my team, I'd be looking anywhere between 300 to 400, which is going to take a while because he is still an icon. We can't kind of neglect that fact that his supply is still going to be low enough to make that little demand pay that little bit extra for for him compared to your Pogbas, your Dybalas, your Kimmiches, who are coming out every single day. Unfortunately, icons are just not. They're naturally not packed that much, and that's what keeps the value, obviously. Overall wise, I'm going to have to give him, I think it's anywhere between 6 and 7, because I think he still does a job, but unfortunately just not necessarily the most efficient job in the world. So we'll give him a 7. I feel like that's justifiable with obviously all the rest of his stats are actually really nice, but the pace is what really kind of just kills the mood with him. So if you did enjoy the video, let me know down below what you think, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all for the next one. Peace.